Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and today I wanted to start off by talking about the Grammys. So, the Grammys for 2025 have been announced, the list has been revealed, and I will have to say 21 Pilots with Clancy was completely snubbed. I am actually flabbergasted at the fact that they haven't gotten any recognition for this album. And I wouldn't even say it's because it went under the radar. Like, I know 21 Pilots, they aren't as big as they were in Blurry Face era and even Trench era, but at the same time, you can't listen to Clancy and tell me that it doesn't live up to Blurry Face. Like, nothing can recapture what Blurry Face was, but Clancy sure as hell is a great album and comes close to at least being that same energy, if not on a different vibe, if that makes any sense. I was really upset to see that it didn't get any nominations, not even for Overcompensate as a song, none of the singles, the album itself, nothing, like, bullshit. The only thing my mind can kind of logically come to for, like, why it didn't get recognition, I know a lot of music came out this past year, so there's a lot of choices to go through. But in the rock list, like, there were some albums I haven't heard of, but you're gonna say Green Day. No, no shade to Green Day, but you can't lie to me and say they haven't been making pretty much the same kind of music their whole career. And I can respect Green Day for the music they make and the fans that they have, but you're gonna tell me that compared to an album that has literally a different genre, different vibe throughout the whole album. Like, every song has a different genre almost, to where it comes together as a total piece of art that is completely like watching someone fall back into the same patterns and trying to break that routine to yet ultimately fail again and have to go through it all again. Like, as a concept, it is the big finale of their story, but if you just listen to it as a record, you can tell that throughout the lyrics, throughout the songs, and how each three songs kind of come in batches. You're going to say that Green Day, which their new album might be great, I haven't heard it, I shouldn't shit on them, so apologies if it comes off that way, but it just doesn't make sense how that can be considered more of Grammy material than what Clancy was. Now, I know I'm biased. I will completely bite that bullet and accept it, but I do not understand at all. Again, the only thing that I think might have been a reason why they didn't want them back at the Grammys was because when they did win for Blurry Face, they, or I think it might have been Stressed Out, I can't remember which they won, but they won a Grammy and they came out in their underwear. They stood up, took off their pants, and walked up stage in their underwear. Tighty whities, full on, and it was such a moment. And the reason they did it is just because they said that that's how they would do it if they were to ever win a Grammy. When they were kids, when they started the band, they're like, if we ever win a Grammy, we should do it just like this. And at the time, they were just sitting in their underwear. So, of course, 21 Pilots being 21 Pilots and Tyler and Josh being absolute goofballs, of course they went up there and fulfilled that promise to their younger selves. And it made for such a moment. But I don't think the Grammys were incredibly happy with it, because live TV, they couldn't really do anything about it, to be honest. I loved that they did it, but I understand that maybe that's a contention point, but it really shouldn't be the end all, because that would be shitty if their art was locked behind one of their actions that they did, which was completely harmless. All the same, though, aside from 21 Pilots getting completely snubbed at the Grammys this year, which, to no surprise, I was really hopeful this time, but the Grammys always seems to disappoint. And not just me, it seems to be like a universal disappointment. But Eminem, for his new album, The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace, that was nominated for Best Rap Album of the Year. Unfortunately, not Best Album of the Year, which, it could have been up there, but I'll get to that in a minute. It was nominated against a couple big hitters like Might Delete Later by J. Cole, and the other one was We Don't Trust You, I believe, by Metro Boomin. Those are the three that I could think to be the contenders. I hope Eminem wins because I think his album was great. It was a huge concept album that really just kind of tested the theory of, well, Eminem kind of beats anyone he's in a rap beef with. How about he just fights himself? And more importantly, not just himself now, but his old self, Slim Shady. And to hear Slim Shady come back in 2024 in full force and sounding as perfect as he did back in the day, I don't know, AI might have been used. I can't say for sure, hopefully not, but if it was, it would make sense because when he raps as Slim Shady, it doesn't seem like he's aged a day. So, in saying so, if he used it for the art and to capture himself, his own likeness, I don't see a problem in that. It's only when AI gets brought into art when it's using other artists' art itself and creating things that are just complete false. Like, at least in this sense, M wrote his raps with his team, if not just by himself, and the album was created. And I think it really shows that Eminem isn't someone to just sleep on. Like, he kind of gets shit on, kind of said that he's past his prime, which obviously he's like 50 something now. So of course he's not right in the rap game like he used to be, but he still holds his own and is one of the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Like, he deserves that title, 100%. Not to discredit J. Cole or Metro Boomin or anyone else nominated on that list that I might not know, but Eminem, you can't deny his just power. The rap god himself. Something else rap-related, though, that I seen was nominated 5 times, mind you, which this makes me so happy, was Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. Now, let me tell you, this song deserves all the nominations, and it deserves to win all of the nominations because not only for the trash talking on Drake, because fuck Drake, but I say that with full sincerity. I never cared for the guy, but more importantly, not just the rap beef and everything around it, but the fact that it is a song strictly for hip hop and calling out all of the fakes of the game. The ones that just use it for clout, the ones that use it for popularity, that kind of parody the lifestyle of what rap originated as and what it means to that community, the hip-hop community. And I really think that it is a statement, and it's a statement that should never be used otherwise. Shout out to Donald Trump, the only time I'm mentioning him throughout this whole podcast. Don't use Kendrick's song. You can shit on Canada all you want, but don't use Kendrick's song for your own gain. That is not what it's about. That's not what it's for. Leave it alone. Anyways, I really hope Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us wins every category it is nominated for because it deserves it, and I don't see why it wouldn't, to be honest. Not saying I really know yet what it's up against, but just for its cultural impact and what it means as a piece of art, it deserves every nomination and every trophy it could really be nominated for. Now, to touch on the Grammys a little bit more, I really don't understand why they do the things the way they do. Like, I know they have kind of a group of recording academy people that will go and vote on things. And, they make their choices. It's not people voted, to my knowledge, at all, unless if there's a couple categories that are. That's more so for like the MVMAs and other sort of music awards, but the Grammys, you have to be special and chosen, and I think that's why a lot of people don't necessarily like the Grammys, because it's not what the people would choose. Not all the time, sometimes it is, but a lot of the times it's like, wait, who's that? Who is that just won? Like, I remember one year, I believe it was Taylor Swift, that I'm like, she's got to win this. And some random person that I think maybe 20 people heard of won it, and it didn't make sense at all. But, everyone gets representation. Maybe the album was better. I can't say. I never listened to it and still probably won't. But the album of the year contenders this year, they don't really, at least for the ones that I've heard, don't really have much of a poetic kind of sincerity to them. They're just very blunt to the point kind of words in the ways that they sing. Like, take Sabrina Carpenter, Short and Sweet. That was nominated album of the year this year. And no shade against her or her album itself. She makes some great music, very catchy, very radio friendly, and her fan base is crazy, like in the best way. So I can understand why it was nominated. Same with Chappelle Roan or Taylor Swift. Like, I think there's a couple others that I'm just blanking on at the moment, but all of them, their lyrics leave something to be desired to some extent. Taylor Swift being kind of the exception, but even then, some of the lyrics, you hear it, and out of context might be seen as like cringy or a little bit weird to have in a song, but it's just comparing it to the past however many hundreds of years of music where it's changed and it is continuing to change. And I think it's that TikTok shift of just the way it is. And there are still bands that do things poetically, and there still are songs included in this whole list, Billie Eilish being one of them as well, that are written very well. But to some extent, the majority of them are mostly just the generic kind of radio pop that you would kind of hear back in the day, yes, but even more so now, to where the lyrics are just kind of there, the more of a second thought and very reactionary rather than trying to paint this grand picture. Personally, I've tried to watch the Grammys almost every year. I don't know why I do it either. I really don't know why I do it to myself, because I feel like every time I'm done watching it, I feel like I wasted my time. And I hate to say that, but it's just true. I don't ever feel like after watching the Grammys, like, ooh, that was a good use of my time. Because it takes like 3 hours, if not longer. And you're watching these performances of artists you probably don't care about. And sometimes it's something cool. You might get to see your favorite artist win, or even more often than not lose. Unless if you love one of the extremely popular artists, which me, myself, I usually watch for Taylor Swift. Or any artists that I love that are nominated, like Fall Out Boy or Paramore or Panic at the Disco back when they were a band, which, again, fuck yes to them coming back next year. Oh my god, we need it. But like all these bands that are my favorite, I always hope for them to do the best in the Grammys and, win. Which usually when I like the smaller artists, they don't. But with Taylor Swift, it's more likely, it seems. And for good reason. She has a lot of talent, and I know that some people would argue with me on that. But I would have to say, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Like, try to do everything she does and get back to me on how that goes. Anyways, aside from that, though, I do remember one memory from the Grammys, not the show itself, but one that sticks out in my mind incredibly well because I think I was the main reason it happened. So, bringing us all back to like 2015, I think it was, Grammys hosted this hypothetical poll that you could vote for, and there was a bunch of different bands on it, and I remember Black Veil Brides being a part of this list. So I would vote for them, and you could vote over and over and over and over and over again. There was no limit to your votes. Every vote counted, and it ended up getting down to the wire of who should win, who deserves to win a Grammy. One Direction versus Black Veil Brides. Like, what? Like, little kid me, okay? Or not even little kid me. Teenage me was looking at that like, holy shit, we made it to the end. And it was like neck and neck for the longest time. It would jump up, like Black Veil would be at like 70, and then One Direction was at 30, and then Black Veil would jump down to 30, and it'd be reversed. And then it got down to the wire towards the very end. And I was voting religiously, like insane amounts, because I'm like, man, they need to be noticed. They deserve to be noticed. Fuck One Direction. Black Veil deserves to be noticed. One Direction gets enough recognition. And it jumped back 49, 50, 51, 49, like kept going back and forth, back and forth. And it ended with Black Veil Brides beating out One Direction, and I swear to you it was all because of me. I'm sure there were other people in the movement, if you want to call it that, But I was dedicated. 100% dedication. I would log on to my school computer, go right to the Grammys website, and just vote the whole time. Was it a good use of my time? Probably not, because it never led to Black Veil being nominated. They've never been nominated for any Grammy, which is real fucking confusing. Why have that poll, have them win, and not even, like, look at them in the coming years? Like, I know Black Veil isn't for everyone, but you can't tell me that The Phantom Tomorrow couldn't have at least been nominated for a Grammy. Because it had Scarlet Cross, one of the biggest songs of that year in rock music, and the whole album was a brand new, fresh take of their sound. And it evolved them in a way that we'd never seen Black Veil ever evolve to. And it makes me really excited to see what's to come next, with us already having The Morning and then the Bleeders EP. Like, they're going places. They're still going strong, and they have yet to be nominated. It blows my mind, especially with that poll. I know it meant nothing, and rest in peace for One Direction fans. I understand that. It's a little bit raw right now, but I don't understand how Black Veil has not yet gotten any recognition from a poll that was held on their very own website. Anyways, tangent over. To talk about the actual Grammys itself, it doesn't happen until February 2nd of 2025, which, no surprise there, they announced the nominees way early, as they always do, but with good reason. It gives us time to read them, speculate, and see, I don't know, more so hear everyone around and what their opinions are on who was nominated, who wasn't, and who they think is going to win. And you've already heard me talk about it a little bit. I wanted to go over a little bit more in depth, though, for just the categories that I'm kind of curious about, or ones that I'm hoping certain people win, certain artists. The first and foremost being Record of the Year. The nominees were the Beatles with Now and Then, Beyonce with Texas Hold'em, her attempt at country, which I don't know exactly why she went that route. Everyone I've asked about it hates it, even Beyonce fans that I know. I don't think anyone really, if they don't hate it, then they at least didn't really care for it, and they don't ever go to it. I haven't heard it myself. I really have no desire to. Not a Beyonce hater, just never been a real big fan either. Then Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, 360 by Charlie XCX, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Not Like Us by Kendrick, Good Luck Babe by Chappelle Roan, and Fortnite by Taylor Swift featuring Post Malone. Now, all of those are pretty good choices, like, all in all things considered. The Beatles, a classic. Haven't heard the song, but a classic. Beyonce, I don't think she holds much of a candle in this Grammys. Like, she might win a couple of them, but I don't think this album was the best work of hers. Again, haven't heard it, but just from everyone's voice about it, don't think she hit the mark with it. Sabrina Carpenter, Espresso, that song was everywhere. That song was the song of the summer. Originally it was Cruel Summer, but when this came out, it kind of took over. And I think this one holds a candle for the taking alongside Not Like Us and Fortnite. I really hope Not Like Us wins, though. Again, I'm going to die on that horse. I hope that Kendrick wins everything he is nominated for regarding this song. The next, though, Album of the Year, I touched on this a little bit. There are a couple I don't know, like New Blue Sun by Andre 3000, Cowboy Carter, Beyonce, Short and Sweet, Sabrina Carpenter, Brat, Charlie XCX, one that I can't pronounce, Something Volume 4 by Jacob Collier, Hit Me Hard and Soft, Billie Eilish, and The Chappelle Roan, and The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess, and then The Tortured Poets Department. I butchered that a little bit, but those are the Album of the Year nominees, and all in all, they are all very much similar. Like, there's no... I don't know Andre 3000, nor do I know Jacob Collier, but the rest of them are all pop artists, if I'm not mistaken. And I know Beyonce's album's more country, but it's country pop, Beyonce country. And I think in all of these Album of the Year nominations that there's not much diversity in that kind of sound. I hope Taylor Swift wins. I think that she does deserve it for The Tortured Poets. Again, I'm biased when it comes to her. She's one of my favorite artists, but I will say, regardless, I wish there was a bit more diversity. Throw in 21 Pilots, Clancy, hello, like, not even just them, but there's so many albums, so much music that came out this year, and this is all very much, it just, I don't know, it leaves some to be desired. And I could go on and on. There's quite a few. But Song of the Year, again, Hope Not Like Us wins because it really does deserve it. Best New Artist, it's a category I don't understand. I don't know why some of these artists are considered new. Just because it might be their first time breaking out into the scene doesn't mean they're new. Some of these artists have been at it for years. Even, and I believe NF said something like that in one of his raps, that most of these artists you think are new have probably been at it for years. And it shows. Like, there's Benson Boone. He's been an artist for longer than just recently, though his new debut album, I guess, just came out. But all the same, he's been making music. Same Sabrina Carpenter, Chappelle Roan, Teddy Swims. Like, these artists that are nominated, they've been making music for longer than just a year. And I know that Best New Artist is kind of, you take it with a grain of salt. I believe Noah Kahan was even fucking nominated for this by the time of his fourth album. Like, does that make sense? Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me personally. Now, there are a lot of other ones here, but I'm not going to go too in depth. I just want to touch on one more, being the best rock performance. Being the best rock album, because I believe Clancy should be in this. The ones that were nominated: Happiness Bastards by the Black Crowes, Romance by Fontaines DC, Saviors by Green Day, Tank, Tangk, I don't know, by Idols, Dark Matter, Pearl Jam, Hackney Diamonds by the Rolling Stones, and No Name by Jack White. Some good, solid choices, usually the ones that are the safe bet to show up at these kinds of award shows, these kinds of nominations. These artists usually get them. And I would say, for me personally, I don't know why they couldn't have put Clancy there instead of one of these. I can't speak for many of these albums. I actually haven't heard a single one of them. I know that Pearl Jam themselves, their album, I heard, did really well. Hackney Diamonds by the Rolling Stones, I don't think sold, like, at all. I work at Sunrise Records part-time. I have never sold a copy of that. There was one old guy that I think I seen come in and want to buy that, and that was it. Not to discredit it, I'm sure it's a good album, all things considered, but I do not understand why, like, it seems like the legacy is considered more than what the actual art is trying to say. Like 21 Pilots, they are considered weird most times, very controversial in the sense of their fan base, or the way that they're just different. Like, they're very accepting people in a group that, yes, can be judgmental. The clique isn't always the best place, but it is usually a safe place, or supposed to be. And it seems like because they're just kind of different and weird, they don't really get thought of as like a legendary act or a band that deserves to be a quote-unquote legacy act, because I do believe 21 Pilots falls under that, at least at this point. They've been at it for over 10 years, and that's usually the cutoff, the precipice. When you hit that 10-year mark, you look back at your career, and if you're super popular, you usually become a legacy artist or a legacy band. Look at Metallica, Taylor Swift, Pearl Jam, like the Rolling Stones. There's so many of them, and I do believe that even Black Veil could be considered one, but 21 Pilots should have been considered. I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, apologies, but it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I might skip out on this Grammys. We will see. If there's a way I can watch it, I'm doing literally nothing else, then maybe. Regardless, though, you will hear me talk about it because I'm sure there will be some upsets. Other than that, though, I wanted to touch on something new that just came out, at least part one of this new thing just came out. Part 1 of Season 2, being Arcane, League of Legends. Now, Arcane itself is a Netflix series that is made by Riot Games, the League of Legends people, and it is a show that was shown to me originally by my friend Ryan. Shout out to you, buddy. He showed me Arcane, and it's because he loves League of Legends. He used to play it religiously. A couple of my friends actually used to. Shout out to you, Logan. You're probably the person that was the most excited for this drop. I really hope it lives up to all your expectations. I know we have 2 weeks to go. It was fun watching part 1 with you and Ryan, but for the rest of the parts, I hope it goes just as well. And shout out to Rosie. I can't wait to start watching this with you because I know you haven't seen it, and that's going to be a hell of a time. So, speaking on Arcane anyways, it started with watching it with Ryan, watched Season 2 Part 1 just this past Saturday, and it honestly lived up to any expectation I would have had. I know I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I wouldn't call myself not a fan either. I think the art direction is insane. Like, the art. It is an animated series. Wow. They spent so much time and detail, and the vibe of it all, it is amazing. If you want a really pretty, beautiful, breathtaking kind of art style in an animated show, watch Arcane. Like, for that alone. The story on top of it all, which just builds and adds to everything, Arcane is one of, I would say, the best Netflix series that they have ever came out with, especially regarding animation. On top of that as well, it is also regarded to be one of the greatest. And not just by me either. But with Season 2 rolling into it, and how pivotal the music it is itself to the scenes, to the actual show itself, like in a lot of the fight scenes, you'll see them just going at it to a song in the background, and every scene, the transitions and everything are cued to the music, be it just instrumental or actual songs from the upcoming album that should be dropping here by the end of the month. I think by the time Part 3 comes out. And it's just, it blows me away what they're able to do and the intricate detail that they're able to capture and actually show to the watcher, to the listener, to the viewer. It's amazing. And I could go on and on about it. I don't want to get into spoilers because, again, I don't want to spoil anybody, and I am planning it on watching it with someone, so I can't talk about it yet. But the thing I'm most excited for with Season 2, aside from the story and everything that is going to eventually unfold, is the soundtrack. Most specifically, back to 21 Pilots, not about the Grammys this time though, their new song that's going to be showcased on this album. And it makes me really excited to know that we're getting more 21 Pilots music before this year ends. Like, the fans of the Clickies, we've been fed. And we're getting more. A little cherry on top. I don't know what it's going to sound like. Nobody does. I don't know if it's going to have any story context. Nobody does. But it makes me very excited as a fan to know that something else is coming. I know I talked about it in a prior podcast back when it was first announced, but it's called The Line, and it could literally be anything. It could be something lore-related. It could be just a song. It could be specifically related to the lore of Arcane. We don't know yet, and we won't know until, I believe, the 25th of November. So I'll be anticipating it. When it comes out, I'll definitely talk about it because I am very excited for it. I also watched the Q101 live stream that they did, which is a radio station in Chicago. Shout out to Crystal. I know you live there. But the radio station, they ended up kind of doing a live session with Tyler Joseph. And he played some of the songs from Clancy, along with Tear in My Heart, on his ukulele in front of these people. Changed the songs drastically, especially Routines in the Night. If you like that song, go listen to this cover. Different version from the Q101 session, and wow. To hear that on ukulele is insane. I never thought that song would ever be sang like that, and it brings out the emotion of everything that much more. It's insane. But to get back to the point of what I was saying, with that Q101 session, Tyler Joseph was asked, with Clancy and everything, how does he plan to end the story? And anyone that's a 21 Pilots fan knows that Clancy was the end of the story. Now, that's what they said. And I know that Tyler Joseph, during the live stream of releasing all of the music videos for Clancy on night of release, he asked the listeners, he's like, before we start this, I'll ask this. You tell me, does this sound like an end? And a lot of people said no to that, but he did say it was the end. Like, he said that. But this time in the Q101 session live stream, he mentioned that he's been thinking a lot about how he wants to end this and how it deserves something that everyone can accept. And when it does come to an end, he doesn't know what will be after that. And I don't know if he more so took it as the story of Clancy or just the story of the band. I'm not sure. But taking it in the way of the story of Clancy, because that's how the question was asked, assuming that's what he answered, that he just admitted that the Paladin Strait is not the end. There's more to come. And I wonder if the line will be the start of that. I don't want to put too much hope or faith into it because I don't want to overhype it. I don't want to be disappointed when it is just a song. At the end of the day, all of these songs are just songs, but they mean so much more to me, and I'm sure a lot of people out there. But it makes me curious to know what's to come, and actually very excited and hopeful that maybe, just maybe, when Clancy hits a year old next year, we'll get a deluxe version at the very least with some more songs to cap off the story that took over 10 years to build. If not a second album, I feel like that's asking too much, but who knows? Who really knows? Whatever they're cooking up, I'm excited. It's extremely exciting to know that the story is not over yet. And I'm really hyped, really happy. And 21 Pilots, they've never done me wrong. So I can't wait to see what they cook up. Last kind of thing I'll touch on with Arcane, though, for now, is Linkin Park. Now, From Zero comes out literally this Friday. Go listen to it when it comes out. Linkin Park is back. Holy fuck. I still can't wrap my head around that. Like, new singer, I know, but still From Zero, like, hello. But the single, Heavy as the Crown, was actually used in Arcane. I know it was the League of Legends Worlds song, but it was also used in episode 1, which is aptly titled Heavy as the Crown. And I'm not going to do any spoilers regarding it, but when you hear it, you might take you a moment to notice that you're actually hearing the song, because it's different. That's all I'm going to say. Different in the best way. So, saying all of that, rambling on about the Grammys, 21 Pilots, Arcane, I want to end with saying, if you guys need any makeup, go check out Curse Cosmetics. Use the code LIGHTSMonarch at checkout for 10% off. And reach out, hit me up on socials. Let me know the things you picked up at LIGHTSMonarch as well for everything. And interact. Get to talking. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the Grammys. Hear what you picked up at Curse Cosmetics. Again, LIGHTSMonarch for 10% off at checkout. No spaces, no punctuation. Same with my socials, LIGHTSMonarch on everything. Reach out, hit me up. I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. And aside from that, NF might be dropping something new. Last thing I want to say, honestly, he posted a little snippet a while ago, and it has me incredibly excited. More NF music, maybe, we will see. If anything more gets talked about, I'll definitely touch on it, because it's something I'm keeping my eye on. I would love for it to build into something like Clouds 2 or whatever that would be. A second mixtape of sorts. Though we'll just have to be patient, wait and see. And until next week, I've been LIGHTSMonarch, and thank you so much for discovering the music within.